मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं मैत्रीं भजत अखिलहृजेत्रीं.
Honorable judges, dear staffs and students, I feel privileged to extend a very warm welcome to all present here. I also would like to express our gratitude to our esteemed judges who have accepted our invitation to preside over today's thematic seminar on sustained environment. I would like to introduce our first judge for today's thematic seminar, Professor B. Pramila, who heads the Department of English in Guru Nanak College. She has a teaching experience of more than 2 decades. I would like to introduce our second judge for today's thematic seminar, Dr. R. Geeta, working as the head of the Department of BCom General in Shift 2 in Guru Nanak College. She has around 20 years of teaching experience. I would like to introduce our third judge for today's thematic seminar, Dr. T.K. Avvai Kodai, who is an associate professor and research supervisor from the Department of Commerce, Guru Nanak College. She has around 30 years of teaching experience. For today's thematic seminar, we have students from 5 colleges presenting here. So let us begin our today's seminar. I would call upon Monica Sethia and Harshita K from Shashan Jain College.
Good day to everyone present over here. I am Monica Sethia from Sri Shankarlal Sundarbai Shashan Jain College, and this is my partner Harshita Jain. So we are here to present a seminar on sustainable environment, and under which the theme is influence of faith on environment. Now, faith is a very beautiful word, a word which is the basic reasons of a human existence. You believe something is present, then it is present, and if you don't believe, it is not. So, what role does faith play in the damage or protection of environment is something which is very important to understand. When you go deeper into this, 4 basic or most populated religions around the world are Christianity, Islam, Hinduism and Buddhism. So, before going deeper into it, I would like you guys to understand the whole theme of faith and how does it inflect upon us. So when you look at these questions, it is self-questioning enough, the topic is self-questioning enough. So can faith influence environment or can faith affect environment? So what is that? What does it actually mean? Is faith strong enough to influence our environment? Does faith play a very strong role in influencing ourselves that we damage or we protect the environment? Is it positive or negative? Every coin has 2 sides, so does faith. Faith in a positive thing will have a good and a positive result, and faith in a negative thing will have a negative result. Religion can move mountains, if not at least people. Religion can change minds, religion can build people, can throw people into pits. So religion can do anything. Can we take help of religion to protect the environment? Yes, anything which is done for good is right. That's what we have been learning from a small age. Religion does move people. So as an individual, what's your take on faith and related to religion? And we would be listening or we would be going through these questions, understanding how does faith actually influence our environment. Religion and environment. As I said, Christianity consists of 2.1 billion people around the world, and Islam is 1.5 billion people, Hinduism 900 million, and Buddhism 376 million. So these are the 4 largest religions around the world. And now when you look deeper into it, each of them speaks about faith and how it is related to the environment. When you talk about the environment, every organism comes into it. So this Christianity talks about dualism of man and nature. So even in Christianity, it's believed that Adam and Eve were the start of earth. And not only Adam and Eve, but also the entire species around them, the flora, the fauna. So they talk deeper about religion, but as it progressed, they started believing into a secondary or spiritual god for the religion more than having a flora or fauna as a god. That's how their thoughts changed. And Islam shares about responsibility. So Islam talks about how individuals are responsible for the environment or for the pros and cons they have for it. And Hinduism is a very complex religion, and we all know how deeply are Hindus attached towards flora, fauna, because we believe them as gods. And Buddhists were naturally born environmentalists. Whatever they do is really deeply connected to the environment, that we can also say them the best environmentalist religion. And when you go deeper into it, the very concept of our body consisting of 5 tattvas, that is Agni, Vayu, Jwala, and Prithvi, and Akash. So these 5 tattvas consist our body, is the very basic concept that environment is us is environment. So we consist of the environment, and environment consists nothing but us. So anyone who's beside us, maybe a microorganism or an animal or a plant, is our soul brother or sister in that way. Yeah, so now going deeper into, rather than talking about facts and figures, I would go deeper into 4 stories which affected my views and ideologies on this concept. Basically, when you talk about faith, the first vision which comes into my mind is that of God, is that of a beautiful idol, is that of a beautiful nature. And when you're talking about nature, one thing which every Indian relates to is the beautiful Himalaya and the Ganga. The Ganga is one single thing which is representing India worldwide. But it is sad to know that the Ganga, the Ma Ganga, which supplies water to 11 states and around 900 million people, has over 600 kilometers of economically dead zone. An economically or an ecologically dead zone means that that water or the area of the water cannot be consumed anymore. 600 kilometers. It's a very big thing. And this has deeply affected the supply of water around the states. And now if you look deeper into it, who are the reasons behind this? Nonetheless, it's us, the humans. It has been going for years and years, but only when during 1970s people started realizing that Ganga is getting polluted. And it's better to be late than never. We have started working towards it, and the result is Ganga Action Plan. Crores and crores of money is being invested in Ganga Action Plan, and people have been taking numerous efforts to just bring back our Ma Ganga in the original form. And also, we are looking at the next picture, which is Ganpati Visarjan. That one word, Ganpati Bappa Moria, which that day, and I mean those 9 days when the whole country is, talking about Ganpati Bappa, and we are doing festivals. Each state has their own way of celebrating the Ganesh Chaturthi. So what does Ganesh Chaturthi mean? Basically, this was not a festival which was created by gods. It was something created by us humans, or possibly Indians, during the pre-British era. They started this festival just to bring this commonness among Indians, so that they gather together and they celebrate it. So that, because at those days Britishers were not, they have banned the usage usage of associations. So what Indians thought is, let's have a festival, let's bring out people together, and let's pass the idea of patriotism. And that's how Ganesh Chaturthi started. But now, compared to those days, Ganesh Chaturthi is more becoming an environment hazard, because people have been using more of chemical idols rather than going for the clays, which they used to use previous days. I mean, which they used to do previously. Okay, this is one thing which I personally relate. My last month's journey to this place, it is called Girnar. It's a really beautiful place, and most of us don't hear it. But when you look deeper into it, Girnar, Gir National Forest. This is a mountain range situated about 3,600 feet in Gujarat, and one of the tallest mountain ranges in Gujarat, and it is just next to Gir National Park. Now when you go deeper into the story, you will understand that somehow or something or the other, this mountain range is a house of 5 religions. You have a mosque, you have a Vaishno Devi temple, you have a temple for Maharashtrians, you have a temple for Jainism, you have a temple also for the Gujaratis over there. So this one place has affected in the protection of the national park. Initially, when they started visiting this place so much often, they discovered that there is a forest just next to that, and which is habited with lions. So somehow this place has played an important role in making people understand that this is a house or home for the Vaishno Devi's vehicle, that is the lion, which they call the Simha. So they started preserving the place, they started preserving the area, and now it is one of the toppest or the best lion sanctuaries around the world, or probably the one and only largest lion sanctuary in the world. Okay, I don't have to talk much about this place, because this place says it, the name says it all, Tirupati. So Tirupati Devasthanam is one of the most growingly ecological cities. Tirupati Devasthanam has started 3 ecological city projects and also is influencing more upon how to make it an ecological and more eco-friendly city. So they have started windmills projects. I mean, it's been going on for a long time. The electricity over there is being coming from the windmill projects, the solar energy projects. They have started to preserve renewable water. They have started, they have a secret or a specific place from where they get all the food materials and everything, so that the supply will not pollute the environment. Everything is purely based upon safety of the environment, and also what they use, the laddu, Tirupati laddu, which is very famous. They preserve, they specialize in selling it in paper bags rather than going for plastic bags, because the laddu consumption is so much, it is not even countable enough. Every day there are crores and crores of laddus going out of Tirupati, and the very usage of paper bags is good or enough for making people aware that using paper bags is important. So, as I was talking, these 4 cases, 2 positive, 2 negative, each has a different ideology. Faith can shape or can destroy the environment. So it depends on us how we take faith in. And as an individual, having faith is the right thing, but where you're having faith is what that actually makes a difference. So ending this on a very happy note, that it is as an individual, I would have a faith in something which protects my environment rather than something which would destroy it. Thank you.
I now call upon the team from DG Vaishnav for their mime presentation.
Thank you. Namaste and a very good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Ram Lakshmi and she is Soumya. We are from MOP Vaishnav College. We will be presenting on the topic Deep Ecology, Sustainable Environment Reverence. Now we will be playing a video which says about the beauty and the interaction of biomes.
So what is deep ecology? Deep ecology is a holistic approach to facing the world's problem that brings together the thinking, feeling, spirituality and action. It involves moving beyond the individualism of Western culture towards also seeing ourselves as part of the earth. This leads to a deeper connection with life where ecology is not just seen as something out there but as also something that we are part of and have a role to play in. Okay, what is it deep ecology supports? So a root cause analysis of unsustainable practices, reduction of human consumption, conservation and restoration of ecosystems.
Environment sustainability. What is environment sustainability? It basically means using our current resources in such a way that we save our resources for the future generations. Some environmental indicators which show that our resources are reducing are soil depletion, water pollution, oxygen depletion, and there are few other resources as been mentioned here. Shortage of food, loss of biodiversity, increased deforestation.
These are some of the major environmental problems. So air pollution, water pollution, waste pollution, food supply problems, biodiversity depletions. So now let us look each one of them. So air pollution.
So air pollution is one of the serious problems in today's world, especially in the large cities due to the huge level of industrialization. Delhi is one of the most polluted cities in the world, and the conditions have worsened because of the add-ons of several factors. The smog in Delhi during the Diwali festivals has not happened for the first time. So the many residents got respiratory and cardiovascular problems due to the bad quality of air. Okay, can someone guess the world's most polluted city? Can someone guess? Okay, the city of Linfen in China is one of the most polluted city. So people in China, they are buying cans of fresh air from Canada and other countries. So the price of these cans are approximately $22.95 for 10 liters. So which is approximately 1,459 rupees. So intelligence is not learning from making mistakes, it's learning from others' mistakes. So if we are going to pollute our air, one day we will stand in a place where we will buy fresh airs or oxygen from other countries.
Water pollution. Most of us today know that the groundwater is also getting contaminated. It is contamination of the water bodies, rivers. How many of us know which is the most polluted river on earth? It is the Citarum River, which is in West Java, Indonesia. And also it is becoming a great problem today because without groundwater and good water to drink, what will we all do in the future? It's a point to think about.
Waste pollution. So one thing that comes to our mind when we say waste pollution is plastics. So plastics was introduced in the early years of 1990s and is one of the mass-produced item today. So can someone guess how much amount of plastics that are generated every day in India? It's just a numerical figure, so anyone can guess. Okay. Next. The 2013 fact says that 15,342 tons of plastic waste are generated every day in India. Of these, 9,205 tons are recycled and the other 6,137 tons are uncollected and littered. So can someone guess the statistics today? Okay. Today, approximately more than 40,000 tons of plastic waste are generated in India. So this means that since 2013, there is an increase of 160% of plastic waste generation, so which is something alarming. And 62 million tons of plastic waste every year. So the hard fact to know is that once the plastic waste are generated, these takes millions of years to decompose. So now if we ask, can I do this forever? The answer will be no.
So when it comes to food supply problems, it is mainly because of deforestation. With increase in the population and decrease in the food supply, we'll have to manage our resources in such a way that it is sufficient for most of them. Over 2/3 of the size of Haryana have been depleted only because of industrial projects and encroachment. Due to industrialization, we keep cutting down on trees. Then from where do we get food? It is to think about.
Biodiversity depletion. So, as discussed earlier, the food supply problems results as a result of the biodiversity depletion. So, the biodiversity depletion is due to the habitat destruction, habitat degradation and extinction.
Ecological footprint. What is ecological footprint? It basically means the land and the resources that is needed for the survival of one person. So when we see as an individual with the increase in the population and the decrease in the food supply, as well as there is constraint even in the land that a human being can use. So government has taken many initiatives for the environmental safety, which includes National Air Quality Standards, which is setting standards of the quality of the air in different areas. And we also have environmental regulations, which takes care of the greenery in particular areas. And waste management, sewage management, and Bharat's stage 4 management, and various other regulations have been introduced by our Modi government.
Thought to think. So government has taken up so many initiatives to protect our environment. So, but the success of these initiatives lies in our hands. So as a part of student community, what are we going to do? Rather, what should we do? So first, we should not have the mindset that what difference is it going to make if I'm going to change and others don't. Let you be a role model or a inspiration for others. So few things that we can do is reduce noise pollution, carpooling, switching off the lights and fans when not needed, maintaining a place neat and clean, reduce the use of plastics, do not waste or contaminate water. So your life is in your hands and you can change it. So always carry a cotton bag so that we can avoid the plastic covers. So if your watch or a toy or camera is broken, just don't go buy it. You can fix it up. Next, be conscious that about the things around you. So we can reuse them. So before you buy something, ask yourself, so do I really need it or do I really want it? Remember, sustainability is within you. So act locally and think globally. So in our college, so we have taken up the initiative, like the Ministry of Environment, where a group of students, they plant trees in and around our college. So also they take care of the health and hygiene of our college. So yeah, so the students give saplings to the teachers during the Teachers' Day.
So prevention pays. What we are supposed to do, or what we are doing right now, is we are cleaning up the pollution that is already been done. What do we do is basically, when we try to avoid pollution in one area, we are adding on the pollution in the other area. It is only a temporary measure that we are taking to avoid the pollution that's happening. And now we are focusing on waste management and waste control and pollution control. Instead, we should try to reduce them and have much safer thing. Now we are having degradation of our environment, which should become regeneration in the future.
So let us end up presentation by quoting a quote. So we abuse land because we regard it as a commodity belonging to us. When we see the land as a community to which we belong, so we may begin to use it with love and respect. So we now thank the initiative of Moral and Cultural Training Foundation for giving us this opportunity to express our thoughts and ideas to save our environment. Thank you.
Good morning, one and all. I am Akash from Wales University. Good afternoon, one and all. I am Akash from Wales University. Present myself, Akash. I am here to talk about on the topic deep ecology. I am here to talk about on the topic deep ecology, sustains environment and reverence. Deep ecology is a holistic approach to facing world problems that brings together human emotions such thinking, feeling, spirituality and action. A deeper connection with life, where ecology is not just seen as something out there, but something we are a role to play in it. Some possibility of ecology. We are part of the earth and it is part of us. It was said by Chief Settles, possibly spoken in 1854. If we see ourselves as part of the world, it becomes possible to see that such uncomfortable feelings may be serve as a valuable function. Spirituality is to do with our inner sense of connection with something larger than ourselves and with our relationship with what we see as a sacred. Action, when we integrate our beliefs, ideas and values into our behavior, we bring them alive and give them the power to influence our world. Thank you for sharing my thoughts.
Good afternoon, one and all. I am Keshavan from Wales University, here to present a seminar on the topic Sustained Environment and Deep Ecology. Okay, what is deep ecology? Have you ever sensed out it? Let us know what is ecology. Ecology is an it has been evolved from a Greek word which means a study of living relationships. Ecology is a study of ecosystem. Ecologists are the scientific researchers of ecosystem, where they study the differentiation with the organisms and the ecosystem, from tiny bacteria to the giants as mammals. Then what is deep ecology. Deep ecology is same as ecology. But deep ecology states that the value of living things, which are been added to the utility of human needs. Example. Let us move to the principles of ecology. Conservation of what are the principles of ecology? Conservation of biodiversity, and to maintain ecosystem. Prevention of prevention of inhuman activities against the ecosystem. The policies the policies which affect most of the policies would affect the ecosystem and their normal natural modes. This should be prevented, and to increase the flora and fauna contained in the country. Next slide, please. There are two major approaches of ecosystem or ecology. Which are being scientific ecology and deep ecology. And scientific ecology is a study of interrelationship of species and their environment. Then deep ecology states the experiencing ourselves as a part of protection of Earth by sustained environment. The next slide, please. Then comes next how to maintain the ecosystem or ecology. First comes the conservation. Conservation may help a lot in maintenance of ecology, where conservation of natural resources like forests, natural lakes, rivers, and so on. There is another method where 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce makes it a complete way to eradicate the most problems of it. More and more production creates problems where anything in excess may cause dangerous thing. Next, go green. Go green means use of renewable resources instead of non-renewable resources. Renewable resource may been created by nature every day by day, but non-renewable resource cannot be created as such. So renewable resource usage may be increased to decrease the use of non-renewable resource, especially for fossil fuels like petrol, coal, and chemicals. Next, adopting sustainable development method, which has been the most precious way of developing things. Next slide, please. Then, what is sustainable development? Everyone is astonished. What is sustainable development? A sustainable development is a simple way of protection of Earth, the Mother Earth, which can be adopted by everyone and anyone. Sustainable development is nothing but an best biological way of prevention of Mother Earth. Sustainable development is the next level of thinking of conservation. In this methodology, resource is being used in a right way and conserved way for which can be preserved for the next generation. This is a famous quote where the earth we have now is not been gifted by our forefathers, but we have been borrowed from our children. The resource which we have borrowed from our children should be returned back with interest. So we have to start sustained development. Next comes the scientific data analysis, where this scientific data analysis is being produced in the Lok Sabha by our MPs, where this has been specially focused on the forest area of India. You can see there are two statistics in that. First statistics say about the most depleted area for the forest resource. Second says the less depleted area. We are happy that Tamil Nadu is not in the most depleted area. So the first place, the Punjab forests had been depleted so much in the year of 2014 to 16, in the period of 14 to 16. Next slide, please. Next time I used on the topic called achievement, but it is not a really achievement. It has been a doom achievement, not a boon achievement. A doom achievement because if you see that about 30 years of Indian economy, we see to that 23,716 industrial projects have been developed by our Indian government, where the Indian forest resource was about 80% on those days, and now at present only 21% of the forests have been available now. Most of the forest area are being used for the development projects. For this development project, there are more methods such as coal mining, bridge building, dams building, which may made many resources to be lost. More than 50 species of trees had been lost only due to these projects, and 500 trees had been totally cut down. And moreover, 100 species of animals had been lost their habitat and their original way of living. Next slide, please. Then we can see, if this situation continues, we can see the result. Most of the flora and fauna would be exist or endangered in the next coming year. Next generation would not have an opportunity to see or view or experience such species. It will be like a story of dinosaurs for us. Loss of one, you can think of loss of one flora and fauna. What would make effect on this environment? But if loss of one ant or any other creature would make a huge loss of the ecosystem, because the ecosystem is a chain linking one onto others. So if a single loss make a huge depletion. Slide. Okay, next come role of you and me. What you and me can do? You and me can do wonders in the world. So drops of water makes an ocean. So why don't you start a little to make an ocean? Simply an example, if you start using a recycled paper, you can save a tree. If everyone start using a recycled paper, you can make a revolution of saving a forest.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm so glad to make my stand before our judges and the respective ones. And our topic today is sustained environment. So it means that every human being has the responsibility to take care of the environment, not to pollute it and to safeguard it. Just imagine a patient who is becoming weak day by day. Oh, he was very strong enough in the previous days, but slowly he's lost his strength from his body. But just imagine that patient who is before strong and healthy, now is weak. So can you imagine who is the patient that we are talking about? The patient is none other than our planet, the Earth. Before, our Earth has the beautiful environmental condition, but slowly it started being polluted by human beings. How it has happened? Because just imagine in this point, we as a human beings, we are a doctor, and we has the responsibility to safeguard our patient, our planet Earth. So to safeguard our planet Earth, or to how our planet Earth goes into that worst condition, just we can there are so many various causes that makes our Earth environmental to be more polluted. Just think about the first reason. Man himself is the major cause for the environmental pollution. And the second one, if we see, and a main reason why human beings are being a reason for the environmental pollution, because of the overpopulation. Today, if you see that current ratio about the Indian population is 1.21 billion. So as a broad-minded people, we ourselves can think, can we do some support for our environment? So if we are wise, we can take a personal decision wisely. And second one is air pollution. So air pollution is due to that industrial and that automobiles exhaust. So this causes that carbon dioxide and the sulfur dioxide and oxides from that nitrogen. This causes a breathing problem, and even it will lead to the cancer. And if air pollution keeps on increasing, then it will directly affect, it may also affect that our protective ozone layer. If our protective ozone layer has been affected, then it will lead to human diseases that come, the radioactive rays which emits by the sun, it directly expose on us, and it may create a sunstroke also. And that another thing is accumulation of rubbish or polythenes, bags, and the plastic containers, glasses is also damages the land and the water also. So if we have really taken care for our environment, we will reduce to use that polythene bags and the plastics. Rather than that, we also have heard the points from our previous speakers that they have told we can use the paper bags also. So the letting in domestic sewage wastage and that industrial and factory wastages, that defluents, it also affect that pollutes that water, drinking water. So if our drinking water has been polluted, then it may indirectly or directly it will affect our health. So if we have got affected, then obviously I remember one proverb that says that a fish dies by his mouth. So if we are not taking care of our environment, then obviously the damage will be on us in the future. So if we are really thinking or care for our future, we won't do that. The use of excess of chemical fertilizers and that for pesticides, it may also pollute both land and water. So both these causes all will lead to the deadly disease and the contagious or uncurable diseases as well as. And as we have seen in the mine, they have shown clearly, if we have blasting that crackers, that also pollutes our environment. So if we are really thinking in a new way, means we can avoid mostly avoid to blast that crackers. That's what we are all, our society people also, and many of the NGOs also, they are encouraging people not to use much of that crackers and to reduce it in using. And oil leaks in the ocean affects the marine animals as well. Because of the usage of the oil leaks in the ocean, that there are 80% of marine animals has gone. They have died because of the oil leaks from the ships. And the late of old decommissioned ships that have brought to our Indian seashore for dismantling, they have tons of harmful asbestos. So if they are from the people who are working for the dismantling, they also will be affected. They may also get disease of cancer. So people who are engaging in the dismantling ship also, they affected by it. So I would like to say in the final thing that we all have got a new points and the new view of thoughts on this particular topics. So my point of view for this topic is we cannot stop this environmental pollution. Still from the 3 decades ago, we have seen that people they are talking to control the environmental pollution. But still I have never seen such a serious step. Nobody didn't take it. But from my side, it was insisted into me that what I can do from my side to stop this environmental pollution. This is what it really came to my mind. So thank you so much for giving this nice opportunity to share my view on this topic.
Hello and good afternoon to everyone. I hope I reply. Okay. So when I was acknowledged about this topic, sustaining environment or sustainable environment, I was rather confused whether will I speak on a specific topic. I wasn't getting any specific topic, so I decided why not to talk generally. So what do we mean by sustaining environment? If I remember my geography teacher teaching me sustainable development or sustainable environment in 9th class, she used to define it as using the resources judiciously so that the future generation, the coming generation can use it. It's not extinct when our future generation comes. So what will happen if we are not using these resources judiciously or not conserving it? What will happen is the generation coming will not have anything on which they can survive. It's simple that we humans will be sole responsible for killing our future generation. As they will not have any resources to use, they will not survive. one of my friends talked about non-renewable resources. Yes, my friends, sustaining environment is very important for non-renewable resources, as they cannot be renewed like fuel or water or any other. You may be knowing more. So how do we conserve these resources? See, it's so simple as just making you aware that this resources is not only for you, it's for the generation to come. So the best way is to aware. And whom to aware? See, if we see the section of people in our society, the poor already have lack of resources that they use. So the best thing is to aware the rich people or the middle class people, because they have got so much resources to use and so much way to use those resources that they are just wasting it and depleting all the resources available. At last, I would just say a quote which I made just now: stop being selfish, rather start being sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you. With this, we end today's thematic seminar, and we'll be announcing the results shortly. So before we announce the results, I request Professor B. Pramila, the judge for today's thematic seminar, to share her views with the students.
First and foremost, I would like to congratulate all the colleges and teams who have participated today in Sustain Environment in the thematic seminar. And I would like to share the comments and followed by another judge. She would like to share her views also. And today's overall performance, what on the whole we feel, rather myself what I felt is clarity is needed almost for all the participants. And you did well, but all the teams needs little more clarity. And some of the, I think I don't want to mention the college names, certain colleges, the participants, confidence level. So having come for the competition, and you can take this as an experience, but what as a judge we could feel is, we are supposed to judge based on how far you have understood the topic and how far you have realized that as and when you express, as a judge we could feel it. So that's what, most of the PPTs we could feel that almost all the points taken from Wikipedia, cut and paste, it's okay. But certain participants, certain team, facts is more, and certain participants, less facts, and when they express, the clarity is lacking. So I wish all of them to improve that, and better luck next time. Before announcing the result, I would like to call upon Dr. Abhi Kodai, and Madam, please.
Yeah, very good afternoon to one and all present here. I feel really very honored to be a judge for this competition, intercollegiate competition. I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this wonderful opportunity. What I wanted to tell you, actually, Madam has already told. One thing I would like to tell you, that is, see, when you come for a presentation or a oratorical competition, what is very, very important is the way in which you speak. You have to always speak with modulations. And there should be life in your speech. That is very, very important. You all are youngsters, you all are college students. We actually expected something more than this from you. Of course, you all have taken a lot of efforts. Content was there. You had given very good information. All that is there. But your confidence level was less. And moreover, the way in which you spoke, no, it looks as if you didn't have your lunch today. I do not know whether you had your lunch or not. So take efforts to speak with modulation, understand the concept well, believe in yourself first. I can quote Swami Vivekananda here. He says, believe in yourself first, then in God. So always take these lines to your mind. Have faith in yourself so that you can face all your competitions successfully. Wish you all the very best. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for sharing your valuable views. So, I'm glad to announce the prize winners for today's thematic seminar. Anyhow, those who have participated, hearty congratulations to each and every one of the participants. Everyone will be getting participant certificate. And second place goes to MOP Vaishnav College. First place goes to DG Vaishnav College. And again, I reminded Mahatma Gandhiji's quote, earth is having more sufficient for your need rather than for your greed. So we have to realize we are getting everything from earth. So we have to protect, it is our duty. Is it clear? So each and everyone should realize this point, and we have to protect our nature. Because we receive but what we give. Once again, as a literature person, I would like to recall one of the famous poet S.T. Coleridge's words. We are receiving but we are giving. So what you are giving only we are receiving. So while giving, we have to give the best. When you give the best, you can take the best from the earth. Thank you, one and all.